Her murder is actually captured on camera, and yet her killer has never been caught. Hello, true crimerers. This is the case of Leah Rowlands. Viewer discretion is advised. This case takes us to a small town in Nebraska called Cozad. That is where 41-year-old Leah Rollins had recently moved to. Leah was born on September 25th, 1955, and she was actually born in Exeter, Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is where she grew up and went to high school and graduated high school. After all of that, she would also make her home in New Jersey at one point. She lived in Arkansas for some time. Leah was actually one of, I think, 12 total siblings. She had a really, really big family. She would end up having 2 children with a previous relationship. By the time this case happens, she's no longer with the father of her 2 kids. So in 1995, she would relocate her and her 2 kids to the town or the city of Brady, Nebraska. And then about a year or so after that, she moves to Cozad, Nebraska, because she wanted to be closer to her boyfriend at the time. She had done work primarily at like gas stations and convenience stores, and when she moved to Cozad, she also got a job at the Amoco gas station. This particular gas station was just off of Interstate 80, a popular, very busy road, and so a lot of traffic would come into that station. And Cozad is not exactly known as a place with a lot of crime. It's a very small little area. That general area had a population at the time of about 4,000 people, and that was about it. It was one of those communities back then where everybody knew everyone, you weren't really a stranger to anyone, except for maybe people who were driving down Interstate 80 just to pop into a gas station from time to time. Other than that, you pretty much knew everyone. Leah was known as a very, very hardworking person. She was not someone who slacked off at work. She would pick up people's shifts. She was always eager and willing to help wherever she could and however she could. She wanted to just make a solid income to support her family. She was an incredibly devoted mom. Her 2 children meant everything to her. I mean, it's why she does what she does. She wanted to make money to make sure they could live a decent life. She was reliable, she was kind, and customer service she excelled at beyond anything. And by the time this case occurred, she had literally just been promoted to a store manager position. And on this particular evening, this was her very first shift as one of the store managers there. It would be her first, and sadly, it would also be her last. Sometime in the late morning or early afternoon of March 10th, 1997, a customer would walk into the Amoco station. And it's no longer the Amoco station there, so the photo you're seeing here is just of a different gas station, but in the exact same spot. And you can see, even today, it's a very rural, very kind of just, empty-ish area. A lot of, it looks like a lot of like emptiness and fields and stuff in one direction. But a customer walks in, and at first they don't see anyone. They don't see the clerk. They don't see any employees, no other customers. And then when they peek over the counter, they find a nightmare. A woman is on the ground in a pool of blood. So 911 is called, and when they arrive with fire and ambulance, they're unable to save this individual. She is deceased. This woman had been shot to death, and she would soon be identified as 41-year-old mother Leah Rollins. Now, unfortunately, there were no witnesses who were even there when this would have happened. They determined it happened sometime just before 10:30 in the morning that same day. But when this all occurred, it was literally just Leah and the person who killed her, and that's it. So no one was even at the gas pumps pumping gas or anything. This was a very quiet morning. And thankfully, the cameras at the gas station worked, and they were pretty decent quality for being, 1997, of course. And when police looked at the footage, they were shocked and also kind of grateful because the entire thing was caught on camera. Just before 10:30 in the morning, a man walks into the gas station. He is a white male, and he is very obviously barefoot. He is walking around with no shoes. Now, when he enters the store, there are two other customers. It looks like it was two people who were there together. They were wandering around, and these two customers were walking around. They went up to the register to purchase something. They then left. Now, while they're in there, looking around purchasing, the barefoot man is walking around sort of aimlessly. And it looks like he is kind of casing the joint. It looks as if he is just waiting for those customers to leave, and then they do. After those two customers left, the barefoot man, he takes a bottle of soda off the shelf, cracks it open, and starts drinking it right there. He is then seen slowly approaching the counter where Leah Rollins is still standing behind. And it's clear that they're having some kind of brief conversation. And at this point, it's believed he is asking her for, give me all the money, or whatever he may have said. There's no audio, obviously. And the camera picks up her opening the register, taking out all the cash that's in there, giving it to the man. They determined it was roughly $150. $150. That's it. When he got the cash and put it away, he then is seen talking to Leah more, and it appears that he is instructing her to do something. And so the camera picks her up lying on the ground. So obviously this man told her to lie down. He then reaches over the counter, and there is an actual image of this. He climbs over it. He points the 9mm handgun at her, and he just fires. He fired 3 rounds directly into Leah. She had been shot twice in her arm and once through her head. The headshot, obviously, is what killed her instantly. The killer then sort of calmly walks out with the cash he stole. He appears to go pump gas into his car, which equaled about $17 worth of gas. He stole the soda, and he stole a pack of cigarettes, and then he left. Now, also thankfully, his vehicle was also captured on camera. It's not the clearest of images, but they believe it's a red 2-door Pontiac Grand Am model. The model years are, they think, sometime between 1990-ish and 1995 or so. It had shiny chrome wheels. They also noticed that there was no front license plate on it. He had taken it off, and then the camera did pick up the back end license plate, but it was so blurry that they couldn't even make out a single number or letter. They were able to tell, however, that the car license plate, it was a California plate. So there is that. Now, in terms of the surveillance footage from within the gas station, obviously most of the shots are from afar, and so it turns out, they're going to be pretty blurry, and you're not going to get the greatest look at him. However, you can see, his attire pretty clearly, and when he is at the counter, especially when he is leaning over and firing at her, you can see his face pretty damn clear. The man was described as a white male in his early 20s, about 6'3" tall, and weighing approximately 200 to maybe 220 pounds or so. He had no glasses on. He was wearing a black or gray hooded sweatshirt and a dark leather bomber jacket. Like I said, he was barefoot at the time, and he was wearing jogging pants, and it looks like the jogging pants he had scrunched up to his knees. Her body was discovered sometime between, they think, 30 to 45 minutes or so after the shooting happened, but they know her time of death was around 10:30 a.m. Leah's death really, it shook the community pretty hard, because this is a small town. Like I said, everyone knows everyone type of town. And this kind of thing happening there, it was just so unusual. They didn't have violent crime there. And if this was a person who was driving down Interstate 80 and it wasn't a local, because it doesn't sound like anyone recognizes him, they put his image there out on the, the local news, they put it in the newspaper. And they got tips from time to time, but none of those tips led to anything. But if he was a stranger who was just going down Interstate 80, the odds of finding this man are going to be pretty damn slim. I don't know if they have any other forensic evidence, like fingerprints or DNA or that kind of thing. It doesn't sound like they have much of anything other than the camera footage. But obviously this puts strikes of fear in the entire community, because is this guy going to come back and do it again? I mean, the convenience store had to reopen. I mean, it's a small business there that the owner needed to make money still, and so he had to put employees there. Were they going to be safe? No one knew. There has been belief that if the man was walking in there barefoot, that he may be homeless, but also he has a car, and so they don't know if maybe he's a homeless guy who sleeps in his car. At the time, it was a relatively newer model vehicle, so this was like an old car. Or maybe he just was a barefoot kind of guy, you know? He just did everything barefoot. And because they can't see the license plate number, they can't put it in to see if maybe this was a stolen vehicle. Maybe he stole the car somewhere else, drove it down to Interstate 80, got to the gas station, stole some money, and killed her. It's a relatively, you know, it's a car that once you put it out on the news, you think people, if someone in that small area recognized it, they would probably come forward pretty quickly, but no one ever did. They also don't know. Maybe this is a local that people just don't recognize. And if that's the case, was this someone who knew Leah? Obviously, we can't see what they're saying on camera to each other. She did not appear to be in any kind of fear of him until he pulled out the gun. But did he target her specifically? Who knows? I mean, more than likely not, but there is always a chance that maybe. However, the odds are is that this was just a random dude who went to a random gas station, robbed it for whatever money it had, and for some reason decided to kill the clerk and then left. I'm guessing the reason why he killed her was because, well, he wasn't wearing a mask. He wasn't doing anything to hide his face. And so she could, you know, potentially describe him to people. He probably didn't know or realize that there was a camera in there and that it was staring right at him. Because if you knew there's cameras there that can pick up your face, there's no point of killing the clerk just to keep them silent when there's a camera who sees you. So either he didn't know there was a camera, or he just didn't care. He just wanted to kill her. Which begs the question, is this guy a serial killer? I mean, he did this so brazenly. It was the morning. Like, it was bright as day outside. He walks in, and it's not like he's not going to go unnoticed. He's a guy who's barefoot. Like, people are going to see that. He walks around, and he opens up a bottle of Coke and starts drinking it before paying for it. He then just sort of casually walks up to the counter and says, "Give me all your money," without any hesitation. And then he shoots and kills her. This is clearly a man who didn't really care at all. And that's why I think maybe this guy has done it before. Because of just how simple it was for him, how easy it was for him. It was like nothing to him. And that just makes me wonder, like, could he have done more? Leah Rollins was a loving and kind mother to 2 teenagers. She was at a point in her life where she was trying to kind of turn her life around, get settled for once, and just sort of put her life back together. Her life wasn't like in disarray or anything, but, you know, with a move to a new state and all that, and trying to like move around with her 2 kids, it's just, you know, sometimes it can get hard to settle down, and she was finally starting to do that. And then this thing happened. No one's really at fault here other than the killer. I mean, like, you know, the person who owned the gas station and Leah and all them, this was always a safe community. No one would ever think that this kind of thing would necessarily happen to them. This was just such a shocking event. And to have him on camera, especially, and not know who he is, that's insane. And so I think maybe the hope is that if his image is out there now, because it's a pretty, you know, like I said, it's a relatively clear image. You're seeing it here. So it's not like it's a totally blurry thing. You can make out enough features to go, oh, okay, I kind of recognize that guy. You know, he probably would look relatively similar today, obviously just much older. So this case would also be featured on the show America's Most Wanted. And they had filmed there locally. They filmed at the gas station, and they did, you know, the whole, if you have any information, please call this number. And they ended up getting several tips. A lot of people would call in after the episode aired, which I think tends to happen a lot with the, you know, old America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries. You're going to get a lot of calls, a lot of tips, and most of them are nothing. And unfortunately, in this case, all of the tips and leads led to nothing. They were right back to square one. They bring her story up, I think probably every year on the local news there, so that people don't forget Leah, don't forget that she was a victim, and don't forget that her killer has not been caught. There's also a good chance that her killer has technically been caught, and maybe he is in prison somewhere else. Because again, if this was something he would, like I said, he seemed so unbothered by this entire process about robbing her, shooting her. He didn't really seem to care about being noticed, even though he killed the witness. My gut tells me he had done this at least a few times before, or maybe he did it a few times after. This could have been the first one. Who knows? But maybe he has done something similar to this, maybe somewhere in the general area of where this happened, and maybe he did get caught. And so putting his image out there, his, you know, image from 1997 at least, hopefully, you know, that could help jostle some people's memories? Because someone somewhere out there has got to know the truth. Someone somewhere out there has got to know who this man is. Perhaps that someone is you. Again, at the time this happened, the man was in his early to mid-20s. He was a white male, about 6'2" to 6'3", somewhere between 200 to 220 pounds. He is someone who liked to potentially walk around barefoot, and he drove a 2-door red Pontiac Grand Am with California plates on it. Somebody might know that. Somebody might go, oh my God, that's so-and-so. I'm sure by this time that car has probably been destroyed or sold or something, but maybe someone remembers someone driving a car like that in 1997 around this area in Nebraska who fits the description of the guy, you see in the images. Killers like to talk. Killers brag. They think it's fun sometimes, especially when they're high or they're drunk. They'll like to spill the beans to someone. And maybe you know something and you've been afraid to come forward because you're afraid he might kill you, just given how just so unbothered he was by killing Leah. He may be just as unbothered killing you. Well, you can always report information anonymously. You do not have to say who you are. They just need to know what you know. And that needs to lead to capturing this monster. If you have any information on the murder of Leah Rollins, please contact the Cozad Police Department at 308-784-2366 or the Nebraska State Patrol at 308-535-8047 or the Dawson County Sheriff's Office at 308-324-3011. Again, just pick the one you want to call, and you can give them the information you have. And perhaps the information you have, even if it's just the tiniest, smallest thing that you think is insignificant, may be humongous to them. So if you saw something, if you know something, please say something. Help Leah and her family get the justice for her that she very rightfully deserves. But that is it for this case, True Crime, a Rooney Dooney Dingleberry Dongs. I hope you found it interesting. As usual, if you're new here, hello, my name is Mike. I tell true crime stories here on YouTube, obviously, so please subscribe. Leave a comment, drop a like, because it helps push the video out to more people. Hit the bell so you're notified of when I post new videos. I also tell short-form true crime stories over on TikTok. The link to my TikTok is in the description below in the link tree, or just search Making a True Crimerer. I do also post compilation videos from all the TikToks I posted the month prior here on YouTube at the beginning of every month. So you can also see it that way as well. And then also in my link tree below, you'll find my case list, which is now over 7,300 names long. I typically pick my cases that I cover at random. So if there's a case you want me to cover, just send me a quick email. Email is listed below as well. Just send me the name of the case, where it happened, when it happened. I'll add that name to my list, and then I will cover it at some point. If you are a loved one to a cold case victim or a missing persons victim, please let me know that you are a family member in an email. That way I can make sure it gets a higher priority. But that is it for this video, True Crime Maroonies. So until the next case, ta-ta for now. No.